We're going to kick off NIAS Day 2 this morning with a presentation by Ambassador Ducaru, the Assistant Secretary General for Emerging Security Challenges, on the subject of partnering in the digital era, cyber defense cooperation at NATO. It is a great pleasure to start this second day with this keynote address from Ambassador Ducaru. The Ambassador is responsible for providing support to the North Atlantic Council for advising the Secretary General on the evolution of emerging security challenges and their potential impacts on NATO security. He's an absolutely astonishing pedigree behind him in international appointments at the highest levels of NATO, well, in the world, in fact. He's the permanent representative of Romania to the United Nations. He was Romania's ambassador to the United States. He was Romania's permanent representative to the North Atlantic Council in NATO, and he was the dean of that council for almost 2 years. He's been a real driving force in NATO since 2013 on the key partnerships played to address cyber threats and risks. This morning, the Ambassador will share his perspectives on that and how NATO is actively engaging in its vast partnerships with partners on a wide array of cyber defense issues, from policy and strategy development to exercises and training. Sir, it is a real treat to start this day with your keynote. Ambassador Ducaru.
Thank you very much, and it's really a great pleasure to be here again. And let me first thank Kun Rijspers and the whole team of the NATO Communications Information Agency for their leadership in providing this relationship with industry on a very important subject with cyber. Kun, thank you very much, and also for a superb, I would say, cooperation that I personally have with this team. To make things simple, actually, I would say that my responsibility is to mirror Kun's managerial responsibility in the technical and implementation field, with managerial responsibility of leading the political process or helping contributing to management of the political process and the implementation of policy and cyber action plan. As I mentioned, it's not the first time that I'm addressing the NATO Information Assurance Seminar. And let me start with something that was said by somebody who is very knowledgeable in this field. The fact that the internet is the first thing that humanity has built, and that humanity has started not to understand anymore, in a way, a largest experiment in anarchy that we have ever had, and this was Eric Schmidt. The truth is that it's one of these domains where the genius of mankind generates a phenomenon that has a life of its own. But then again, it's the other genius of mankind that is supposed to bring focus and coherence. And this is what we are focused on. And again, we are living in a dynamic environment. It's not that anything is static. I would say that efforts are underway across the international community to set out rules of the road, norms of behavior, to achieve greater stability in cyberspace, to achieve security that would stand behind the freedoms and the opportunities of the internet. And industry contribution to this global debate and global efforts is definitely recognized. If we are to continue to better understand and protect our societies, cooperation across national borders and organizational boundaries is absolutely key. For the shared challenges in cyberspace necessitate shared solutions, and international cooperation on cyber defense issues is the only way to go. Last year, I came in front of you and presented the key aspects of the policy, the enhanced NATO policy on cyber defense that had been adopted by heads of state and government of allies in Wales just days ago. And I mentioned that there would be three main strengths that define that change in the policy. One is the recalibration of the cyber paradigm within NATO, the evolution of the conceptual approach through linking cyber defense to collective defense, linking to the development of international norms and the recognition of that international law applies in cyberspace. It was about re-emphasizing capability development and capacity building, and it was about a focus on a new way of doing business. And one key component of the new way of doing business was the emphasis on the partnerships. And this is the focus of my address to you today. NATO has already for some time developed a partnership network with partner nations. It's currently connecting 69 countries from Europe to Asia Pacific to the Middle East and North Africa. And engagement with these partners is tailored and based on shared values and common approaches. Cyber defense is a growing component of these partnerships. We have developed strengths of work, and of course, as I said, this is a tailored work. It's on a case-by-case basis. It's like any partnership, it depends on a partner's will, capabilities, and definitely it depends on mutual, and it's based on mutual interest. But the focus in the cyber domain is one, information sharing, the other one, work on capability and capacity building. We also use an important program in NATO, the Science for Peace and Security program. And we have examples such as the study of confidence building measures in cyberspace that was conducted in partnership with a partner country, Sweden, but also with academia from allied and partner nations. Another example is a multi-year project with Jordan that focuses on strategy development and support for developing an initial CERT. Just some examples to understand that NATO's effort in this cyber defense domain also is shared with partners, and it's shared with partners in a framework of another partnership, that with academia and with industry. Of course, we share partnership with other international organizations, mainly first and foremost the European Union, with whom we already have a structured dialogue among staffs, but also have been able to reach out to the constituencies of the two organizations by having representatives of the European Union come to be engaged with the Cyber Defense Committee and NATO, and having us, including myself, engaged with the representatives of the European Union in sharing of best practices, strategy, policy objectives, and exploring new ways of cooperation. One of the ideas is to coordinate different programs that we have to generate complementarity and avoid duplication and make the outcomes more effective and more efficient. Also, we are striving to develop an agreement for information sharing a technical agreement between NCIRC and CERT EU. Of course, we are interacting with the United Nations, with the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. It's in these areas where the subject of norms development and confidence building measures is addressed. NATO is not in the lead, but NATO is in a strong support from this point of view. And we have a strong mandate from our constituency, from allied nations in this sense, because NATO does not want to have cyberspace ungoverned, and wants stability, and wants first and foremost the avoidance of conflict or confrontation. Actually, this is what NATO has been at its best over the more than 65 years period of its existence, the capacity to avoid major confrontations. And we want to do the same thing in cyberspace. And now I'm coming to an important new initiative that was launched in Wales, and actually it was kick-started almost exactly 1 year ago here in Mons at the NIAS, the NATO Industry Cyber Partnership, the so-called NICP. What has been achieved since then? A number of concrete things that pave the way for the future, and it's due to mutual interaction and mutual reinforcing that we can make this happen. First and foremost, I would say it generated better understanding, reciprocal understanding on the political side of the industry perspective of this domain, and I hope also that on the industry side, better understanding of how the policy process works and what the opportunities and also the challenges are. Because while we had interaction with industry also on cyber in the past, this initiative has stimulated us to first have a mapping process and actually make this approach more coherent. Secondly, to have a much more direct interaction between NATO industry, including with the policy makers. And for the first time since last year, we had briefings from industry in the Cyber Defense Committee, which is a political committee that is actually driving the political agenda forward. We had participation of industry in our cyber coalition exercise, first time last year, and this year, in a month and a half from now, the scale and I would say the complexity of substance of involvement in industry is even bigger, since through each nation industry can have access to the exercise. We have been engaged in information sharing, also at the level of actionable information exchange. I can give you examples where through this evolved partnership between NATO and industry, for example, the Cyber Threat Assessment Cell in NATO, which is located in the Emerging Security Challenges Division, has received key information about cyber attacks against one ally with whom that industry did not have a direct relationship, and through this interaction with NATO, information could be passed, and further damage could have been avoided. I think it's worth to mention that we have developed within NATO, and we had a number of debates in the Cyber Defense Committee, and a really great partnership with the NCIA team in developing 3 business cases to enhance the relationship with industry. Number 1, the development of NICP Gateway to provide a single point of entry to cyber defense activities across the alliance, while simulating a collaborative environment to exchange information, expertise, and best practices. And we are, I would say, in the phase 2 of this implementation of this business case, where we want to increase the interactivity, and the next step would actually be attaching the information sharing platform with industry to this gateway based on the concept that we have of information sharing between allied nations, between governments of allied nations. The second business case is the NICP Innovation Exchange, where cyber defense experts from NATO and from allies, including allied industry, academia, and government institutes, can foster innovative ideas and knowledge, exchange lessons learned, best practices, and enhance or develop cyber defense solutions that are innovative and cost-effective and interoperable. And I'm sure Koen Rijsberts will tell you more, because the NCIA incubator in The Hague has already developed a pilot project and reported the results, and we had this also analyzed in the Cyber Defense Committee. And I hope that on this basis, we can really, on the basis of the result of this pilot project, we can advance and establish a multi-year program of work. And last but not least, it's linked to innovation, of course. It's our desire to establish NICP Innovation or Capacity Building Fund to encourage and support allied industry, particular small, medium-sized industry, in the development of innovative cyber defense solutions that can contribute to cyber defense capabilities of the alliance. To make a long story short, I think we have some concrete, tangible results in the field of information sharing, both actionable but also, I would say, at a more strategic level. Let me mention that in the annual workshop that the Emerging Security Challenge Division with the NATO Office Security organizes every year, industry participation has been growing as well. We have exchanges also in terms of policy approaches and generating better link of understanding the trends, the threats, and also the potential solutions offered to us by developing technologies. I think we need to have some extra work, and this is, I would say, our main focus in the Cyber Defense Committee, and also focus in my dialogue with the NAC, to get the support and also the resources to have a better scale in terms of collaboration on innovation. That's the challenge of today. And if it comes to resources, there's always issues related to frustrating and maybe too long processes. But I, for one, say, well, should never let go, and we should really push good ideas as long as we believe in them and we can prove that they can generate concrete results. So let me end by mentioning that moving forward and in increasingly dynamic international environments, that gives rise to a number of considerations that will challenge policy development, capabilities, information sharing, cooperation, and partnership. The wide range of NATO cyber defense activities are not conducted in a vacuum, but are instead being continuously assessed within the context of the existing geopolitical and technological landscape to prepare for the future. I would say that this relationship with industry is indeed key. I mean, partnership in general are key in the cyber domain in particular. It's clearly that none of us can be smarter than all of us, none of us can be better informed than all of us, and none of us can be stronger in responding to threats than all of us. I, for one, cherish this interaction and this dialogue. I'm reminded by saying sometimes when I go to some of the many conferences, it was a saying, I think, by Mike Hayden, who said, never was an issue like cyber so much talked about in so many places by so many people with so little clarity and so little knowledge. Now, it's this interaction with the people who are really involved in the development of the technologies, the new, closer to the trends of development in this field, that makes us all avoid to enter this trap, and makes us able to generate the right responses to an ever-changing threat environment. Thank you very much. I look forward to participate further in the deliberations of this conference, and I very much look forward for a continuous interaction with industry representatives on every possible occasion, in any possible format. Thank you very much once again.
Sir, thank you very much indeed.